Hey friends, I'm back. Today we're going to go over Cycle 1, Week 6 for the Abecedarians, what I do in my Abecedarians class. As a tutor, we'll do new grammar, fine arts, and I'll share some about our review. So we started off with geography. The kids had their maps already on the tables when they came in the class. Well, first thing we did was we prayed. I'm trying to start doing that at the beginning of class each week. We pray in our morning assembly right beforehand, but it's nice to have that intimate time with our class as well. So we prayed, then we did geography. I had already marked the different areas of ancient Greece on the map with different colors, and each child had a Q-tip. So I would say the name of the place and the color it was, and then they would say the name, point to it with their Q-tip, and then once I saw that they had it, they would erase it and say the name again. And then after that, I gave them each a goldfish, and the goldfish went on a trip around ancient Greece, and we talked about how it had to swim through the Aegean Sea to get to Crete, and there weren't any roads to road. I got that one from Love MrsC, I think her channel's called, and that you have to swim to Rhodes because that's also an island. And then after they did that, they got to eat the goldfish. And then I also went over with them, I just used my hands to say Macedonia, Greece, Aegean Sea, Crete, Rhodes, to kind of, I don't know, do it in the air, showing them where the things were placed with my hands. Okay, so then after that we did history. I used this to show them a picture of the different ancient Greeks, and I went over the names of each one, and so I said Homer. This is from CC Connected. I will put the name in the description. So I said Homer is like Homer, like home, Homer. Homer was a poet, and so we're going to do this for poet. And Pythagoras was a mathematician, so we're going to count on our fingers like a mathematician. Socrates was a philosopher, which means he liked to think about things, so we're going to do this for Socrates. And I also said his name is Socrates, like you put on a sock. And Archimedes is an inventor, so we're going to do this to show that he's an inventor and he's inventing things. And we're going to say that they shaped Western ideas, and we'll say ancient Greek city-states because ancient means that they're old, so we're going over our shoulders like this was a long time ago. They were among the first democracies, so first, and then we did democracies like a lasso because it was a country song. So we just went through the song and did those hand motions. We did Homer, a famous poet, Pythagoras, a famous mathematician, Socrates, a philosopher, Archimedes, inventor, shaped Western ideas, ancient Greek city-states, first democracies. So we did the song through twice like that, and then I assigned each kid to be a different ancient Greek. We have 5 kids. One of the kids was kind of shy, so it worked out. So then when their character came up, like the kid who was Homer, I'd point to him and he would do the motion. So that kind of switched it up a little bit. Then we did math. We went through and said all the numbers once. This week I wrote the numbers big up on the board, separate from the times tables, new grammar, so that the kids could see, because they're only 4 and 5, and I know my daughter still doesn't know how to read numbers past the number 10, so I just wanted to get them used to that. So I pointed to those and we said the numbers, the 11s, and then I played the song, and all the kids came up to the front and we held hands and we did a ring around the rosy, super slow because it's a slow song, and we did it around twice, and then at the end of the second time on the song we all fell down. Then we all went back to our seats and the kids did C stars for every time there was a new number in the 11 song, and C stars we did last week, so it's basically like doing jumping jacks. So the kids were doing jumping jacks, and then for the last round of songs on the 11s, I had the kids be trees in the wind because it's fall time and the trees are going to blow in the wind and their leaves are going to fall down soon. So the first time we went through slow, and then the second time we did faster trees in the wind. Then we did the 12s. We said them just like we did with the 11s. I had them written up on the board, and we talked about how 12 is a dozen and what things come in dozens, and the kids said eggs. Kids said eggs, and then I suggested donuts. I got this idea from another tutor, so I will share her name in the description. So we had Alligators Eat the Donuts, so we started off with a baby alligator as we sang the song, and then we got faster with that one the second time around. And then we did a mommy or a daddy alligator the kids could choose, and we did big chomping alligators for that. And then we did grandma or grandpa with no teeth. And then we did that one faster the second time around. And then for English, we did the prepositions, hand motions. For down, we squatted down, and while we were squatting down, we did this for during. And while we were still squatted down, we did this for except. And then we stood up and we put our hands out for, like here, this is for you. And then we brought our hands back from, like you're taking something from someone. So we just did that, and we did faster and faster and faster 7 times through. Then the kids got out their snack, and we did timeline. Each week we do the same thing for timeline. I bring the timeline cards in. I show, as they're sitting eating, I'll show them the timeline card and say what's on it, just the name. So I would go around and say Mayans of Mesoamerica, and then they would say Mayans of Mesoamerica. Then I put them up on the board in order. We listen to the song and I point to each one in order, and then the kids each come up and take turns pointing to them in order on the song, on the board, as we listen to the song. Then for science, I used this visual aid that I got from CC Connected. I put it on the board, and I said, this week we're going to talk about vertebrates. Last week we talked about invertebrates, and we kind of reviewed invertebrates don't have a spine, vertebrates do have a spine. So then I taught them the hand motions. At this point we had already run out of time, but so we didn't do it many times through. I was going to have the kids take turns to be the tutor and come up and each do the hand symbols as we went through the song, but we ran out of time. So we used the tune of Mama's Little Baby Loves Shortening Bread, and so that switched up the order. It doesn't match the order that's on the new grammar in the Foundations Guide. But so we did, for fish, we did this. And I think all of these I got from love MrsC as well. So for fish, we did this. Fish lips. And reptiles, we did this for snake. Mammals, we pointed to ourselves. Birds, we did the bird arms. And amphibians, the kids jumped around like frogs. So I will put the name of the person who did the song on CC Connected in the description so you can look it up, but I'll sing it here so you can hear it. What are the major groups of vertebrates? The major groups of vertebrates are fish, reptiles, mammals, birds, and amphibians. Yep, that's it. And then the last thing we did was science, so we just reviewed science. I mean, not science. The last thing we did was Latin, which was the same as last week, but over half our class wasn't there last week, so we reviewed how you pronounce all the endings, the noun endings. So we put our two fingers up and did us, like puss in boots. So we put our fingers up like we were cats. And then E, we pointed to our knee. O, like the letter O. We did this for vacuum. And then the plurals. E, we pointed to our knee. Orum, we did this like we were rowing with our oars. Ease, like geese. Os, we did like we were closing something. And yep, that's it. So we sang through that song a few times. We were going to do it with different voices. I had brought my silly dice. I got this from the dollar store and I wrote things on here, different voices. So whisper, mouse, robot, baby talk, fancy, and pinch your nose. So they would have been able to roll this and choose a different voice to do it in. That's that. So then for fine arts, today was a review of all the visual arts we've been learning. So I did a review on the board of what oils are. I wrote the word oils at the top of the board, which we reviewed oils pretty much every fine arts class. So the kids were familiar with it. So I wrote oils up on the top of the board and I had each kid come up and draw one of the different oils on the board. I reviewed mirror images. I drew a line of symmetry. So we're reviewing the vocabulary. I drew a line of symmetry to do a mirror image. So I drew half of a butterfly and asked the kids what they thought it was. And then I finished the other side of the image. We reminded them what abstract art is. Sorry, there was a jet going over. And then perspective, I drew a horizon line and the vanishing point up on the board and reviewed that since most of the kids were not there last week. I kind of went back over the drawing I did last week, which I have up in my previous video. I was trying to see if I can find, oh, here it is. This is my daughter's version of it. We did a horizon line, trees going back into the distance, the vanishing point we did railroad tracks, and then we did mountains in the background to show the overlapping, the idea of overlapping. Yeah, so we reviewed all that, and then because I have the Abecedarians, I didn't want to give them a choice to redo any art project they wanted. I wanted to give them some more structure and guidance than that. So I brought a I think this is 8x8 paper I had cut out for the abstract art week. We never got to it, so I had them do this today. I had them rip up construction paper and glue it onto the 8x8 paper, and then I told them to draw different oils on their different colored construction paper. It's abstract art, so they could really do whatever they wanted. My daughter decided to draw some trees and some other stuff. And then we still had a little time left over. Each of the kids had their own folder. We had collected the artwork through the past 6 weeks in these folders. So I told the kids they could pick their favorite art from the previous weeks and present it to the class. So it was kind of like a little extra presentation time. And that was fun to hear why they liked their art, and see how everyone had different ones that they enjoyed doing. And then for review, today I gave the kids a choice of coloring or playing with Play-Doh for the review time. We've really been struggling with review. It's hard at this age. They're just so ready to be done with class by the end. One of the kids chose to color. I have a lot of these printables on hand, these coloring sheets on hand. I get from amysniderDESIGN on Etsy. So I had a lot of those printed out ahead of time. And so one of the kids colored and the rest of them used Play-Doh. I had made some homemade Play-Doh the night before. I have a really good recipe I want to share with you, so I'm going to put that in the description as well. So most of the kids played with Play-Doh. I have some Dollar Tree Play-Doh toys, but they're really not that great. All you really need for toys for kids to play with Play-Doh is like popsicle sticks, toothpicks. I had bought these safari animal toys to use on their maps a few weeks ago, but I let them use these with the Play-Doh. They loved putting them in their Play-Doh and pretending they're archaeologists and digging them up. And so kids can get imaginative with Play-Doh. You don't really need to go out and buy Play-Doh toys. So that really kept them entertained most of the time. And we just reviewed the week 6 work first, so the math, Latin, science, and history. And then we went back through all the weeks 1 through 5 of math, Latin, science, and history. So after we reviewed all that stuff, by reviewing, all we do is we just listen to the songs, or I sing the song while the kids just kind of sit and play with the Play-Doh. So for the timeline song, I put little post-it notes on the ground about a foot or two away from each other. I put 6 of them down, and I told the kids to get down and hop like little froggies on their lily pads as we listened to the timeline song. So they just hopped on them and then went around in a circle and came back and hopped some more. So they did that while we listened to the timeline song. And we didn't review any prepositions. It's hard to fit it all into the time, so I just do what we can in the time. So we didn't get to the preposition song. And then for geography, I reviewed, let's see, I only reviewed 2 weeks of geography. We reviewed week 5 and week 6. So I got the maps out, and then everyone got one M&M, and they moved the M&M around on the map to the different places, and then they got to eat it at the end. And that was it. So that was week 6 for us. I also reminded the parents next week to bring the tin whistle, and we'll start that next week. I think I'm also going to have a suggestion for next week's presentation, to maybe have the kids present on something that interested them that they've learned over the last 6 weeks, just to switch it up a little. The first 6 weeks we were really just trying to get them used to going up in front of the class without having to have their parent go up there, and being able to speak comfortably, and they're all feeling pretty comfortable, so I want to challenge them just a little bit. Yeah, so I will probably see you guys next week for week 7. Bye.